Our grouped bar chart design, again, it's going to be very similar. We're going to color on year. We'll update our axes. We'll add labels. Again, we're going to change that title so it's more informative. One thing that's going to be a little bit different about this one is we do have some lines separating our different years. So we'll talk about how we can handle those lines a little bit differently than we do or have had to do in our other visualizations. For our grouped bar chart design, we're going to be doing mostly the exact same things that we have been doing, such as getting rid of our grid lines, hiding that header, updating our titles, making sure our years are bolded and we don't need that year of date header anymore. We also are going to add color to it. One thing we're going to keep in this one that we haven't really had to do in other visualizations, is because we have another level of detail here, is we're going to keep these lines that are separating my years. We're going to keep those in. So we're going to get rid of our grid lines, which are the vertical lines here, but we're going to keep these horizontal lines in here just to give my eye and my brain an easier time of identifying which age groups belong with which year. I'll highlight that when we get to it though. What I'm going to do now is let's go ahead and click on our grouped bar chart. I'm going to right click and then hit duplicate and then rename that one our grouped bar chart design. Let's go ahead and update our title. So I'm going to double click where it says grouped bar chart design. And I want number of people admitted by age group by year. I'm going to click OK. I don't need this year of date label. So I'm going to right click on that and we're going to hide field labels for rows. Let's go ahead and right click on our label for 2020. Choose format. Here in our format window, I'm going to update the font so that it is size 12. I'm going to make it bold. And click out of that so the menu goes away. And then I'm going to click on 2020 so that it's no longer highlighted. At this point, what I could do is I could right click anywhere in this white space and hit format. But I already have my format window open. So in my format window, let's just go over to lines. And then here is where I'm going to go to none for grid lines. I don't want any zero lines, any axis rulers, and I don't want any axis ticks. Notice in doing that, each one of my years is now cleaned up. I don't have any grid lines, but I still have the lines separating each year, which I like. If you wanted to change those though, in your format window, you can go to borders, and then you have your row dividers and column dividers. Those would be the things you would want to update or change if you didn't like kind of the faint gray lines separating each one of those years. Like I said, I'm going to keep mine. It's helpful for my eyes to have kind of a visual barrier of sorts or boundary for each year, so I know which age groups belong where. I'm going to close this. If you've been looking closely, you've probably noticed we have an age group out of order. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on that admit 5 through 12 and drag it up below the admit 0 to 4. If I do that on one of my years, it's going to update that same sort order for all of them. Now, before I hide my axis down here, I'm going to go ahead and turn on my labels. I'm going to go to my label button, click on that, click show mark labels. And now I can come out here to my axis. We're going to right click and uncheck show header. Last thing I'm going to do before we are done with our design is add some color. I want it to color by year. So I have two different ways of doing it. I can come up here on my row shelf and grab my year date field. Remember, I would do control, click and drag. The control, click and drag, remember, copies the pill. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is I can come over here to date in my data pane, and I can drag date over to colors. And again, Tableau is going to default it to that year. Another great thing that Tableau is doing for me is Tableau is making it easy to follow the best practice of keeping my coloring consistent by remembering what I have colored my years on all of my other tabs down here, and Tableau is applying that same color scheme as I move forward. That's really helpful for me, so I don't have to keep going back in there and updating what my color scheme is. Tableau is going to do that for me. So here at this point, I have a designed grouped bar chart, and then we can compare it to what our original bar chart looked like.